Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm very excited. We have a very new chapter in the anti-marketing operating system, as I call it. The anti-funnel series shattered everything we thought we knew about leads, MQLs and buyer journeys. And over 100,000 marketers watched it unfold. That rebellion became a movement. Now we go further. This is the anti-persona series, where we stop chasing people who look right and start understanding how buying actually moves. Two companies, same headcount, same tech stack, same ideal customer profile. Company A just raised 80 million and is rebuilding its data backbone. Company B announced layoff and a hiring freeze. Both fit your ICP. Only one will buy. So why are we still building our marketing on a fiction? If you were with me through the anti-funnel series, you already burned the funnel, right? Lead gen is not equal to funnel, you know that. MQL scoring is not equal to readiness. And we also saw that attribution is not equal to truth without context. That rebellion kind of mattered because it gave language to what sales felt but could not prove. We crossed milestones, and some of you send me messages. One such message where the viewer actually said that he finally understands why math never matched reality, right? But when you burn a system, you kind of stand in the ashes, and what do we build instead, right? The answer really is the anti-marketing operating system that we are discussing on this channel. It's a complete operating system for the modern GTM practitioners and operators, right? Pillar 1 is anti-funnel and pillar 2 is anti-persona operating system. Because after funnels, the next lie is fiction about buyers. And I want to talk a little bit about the problem that we face as practitioners, operators and marketers. And marketers love persona because they look scientific, right? Slide 1 name, slide 2 goals, slide 3 pain points, and slide 4 meet Sarah, VP of marketing or director of marketing or whatever, right? It feels smart. And I have done the same mistake, and we have discussed how we can take persona to the next level. The persona itself is not a mistake, but we will discuss how we can make what sticks, and how we can create movement in our sales cycle. Personas don't fail from missing data. They fail from missing movement. They describe a buyer frozen in time, right? While the real market pivots, let's say every 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, right? So if your targeting framework wouldn't change when the CFO changes guideline, I mean in the customer end, right? You are not marketing, you are time traveling, right? So let me talk about the 4 illusions that kind of keep you blind, and I want to kill those myths, right? The illusion 1 is freeze frame thinking, right? A persona is a photo. Your account is a live feed. You get the difference, right? By the time the slide deck circulates, the org chart, the IT spend, priorities have moved, right? The second illusion that we have is performed empathy. We don't read the board letter, annual report. We write a pretend quote for Sarah or the VP of marketing that we discussed a little while ago, or director of marketing, whatever. Real empathy is kind of a documented pressure, right? Because headcount freezes, security incidents, revenue miss, activists, are bored, right? So that's why I want to talk a little bit about that, right? The third illusion is the wrong layer. Personas fixate on titles. Deals die in politics, not pain, right? A junior architect stalls you more effectively than a CMO who actually loves you, right? The illusion 4 is unfalsifiable signs, right? You can't disprove a persona. Anything immune to disproof is immune to improvement. Now that we have covered these illusions and myths, I'm going to talk a little bit about a personal failure. Years ago, I ran a perfect ICP campaigns, the 4 personas, custom content, gorgeous nurture, clean scoring, right? 6 months later, zero closure, right? Postmortem, almost every account we targeted was in cost control after layoff and a security audit, right? We were doing this right after the pandemic 2020 to 23, right? And our message presumed growth and their reality was survival. We are speaking fluent persona to a market that had moved on. And here is a stat that killed personas for me, right? Mid-market companies reorder their top 5 strategic priorities roughly every 30 days or 45 days, right? If your framework doesn't shift, as board pressure shifts your marketing to ghosts, and context is the only thing that survives motion. Motion is the only thing that buyers pay for. So I want to go straight into what actually I mean, right? So anti-persona isn't a prettier persona. It is a buyer operating context, a living document that you kind of update every 4 to 8 weeks, right? So ICP tells you who to pursue, and anti-persona tells you how to win. The buyer operating context is built from 5 components that define how the organization buys. To start off with, priority map, what the board actually cares about the quarter. Second is the investment posture, whether they are expanding or defending the market or are they freezing, right? The third is vendor terrain, right? Who is inside and how entrenched, right? Whether it's a green field or a partial or it's a fortress. The fourth is you look at the maturity ladder, right? Whether it's problem blind or solution defined, or what are they, where are they right now, right? And the fifth part to this buyer operating context is governance and constraints. Who can kill the deal, right? Legal, info security, procurement, and the proofs that disarm them. What exactly do I mean by priority map? Let's double click on each of these 5 components that I discussed. Before you write a headline, read the board letter and investor notes if they are public company, or do research if they are private company, right? Extract the 5 themes driving spend. If your category isn't there, your first job isn't pitching, it is creating a sense of urgency. Like I said, 2000 employee companies look identical in your CRM, but maybe a fintech A is cutting operational cost expenses by 20%. Their priority theme is risk, compliance, and cost. But a SaaS B which just reached Series D funding to build its data stack, right? Their priority theme is time to productivity, platform replacement, AI enablement, right? Same ICP but opposite motion. Your priority map flags cost avoidance versus growth through automation. Your copy offers proof everything changes. So let me talk a little bit more about this, right? You start monitoring funding wires daily, right? A target Series C hit, and within 48 hours you should pivot copy from ROI to time to productivity, and you swap it with case studies to show deployment velocity, and as a result you will see improvement in your average sales cycle. So what am I saying, right? Same persona, different context, and different outcomes. Now let me double click on the investment posture that we discussed earlier, right? So you have expand, you are defending the market, or it's on a freeze, right? So if they are in a expand phase, you talk category leadership, right? You talk about speed, you talk about future proofing. But if they are in defend, then you talk about risk reduction, right? You talk about cost avoidance, you talk about compliance proof, right? And when they are in freeze, you talk about consolidation, vendor simplification, and sunset costs. Similarly, you need to find out your strategy for vendor terrain, right? Whether it's greenfield or partial or fortress. Choose your path, whether you want to replace, coexist, or surround, right? In a fortress, governance gaps beat feature wars. Now let's also talk about the other two components, which starts with maturity leader, where your prospect is either problem blind or problem aware, or they're exploring solution, or they've clearly defined solution. I have found that buyers are at different maturity ladders. Some, they don't even know that they have a problem, and some know they have a problem but they don't know what the solution is, and the others know their solution, and some are so advanced that they know exactly what the solution is and they just want vendor to come and implement it. So based on where your buyer is, your pitch, your story, your communication has to be different. And that's why sales and marketing need to work together a lot more, and you map assets to ascent. Stop demoing to everybody. The last one is the governance and constraints, right? So you identify the veto points on day one, right? Attach proofs before the demo, and you see that deals are dying in the process and not kind of presentation, right? I want to talk to you a little bit about the momentum math, right? So start scoring motion from tomorrow, right? Momentum score is equal to urgency into agency into access. Now, what are these words, right? What do they mean for you, right? Urgency is heat on the board agenda. How quickly they want to implement the solution. How important it is. If they don't implement the solution, how would it affect them? Second is agency, right? Who owns the mandate and budget? Access. Do we have a path to a credible sponsor? And you need to re-rank these accounts on a weekly basis, because your direction beats volume. Don't chase 50 warm bodies, right? Chase 5 moving systems. So the best way to do this as an experiment in your organization is to kind of you split 20 accounts into persona cohort and context cohort, right? Persona cohort, you have traditional ICP, static copy, and quarterly refresh, right? And then context is you live priority and posture updates every week or 10 days, and you kind of attach proof to the governance, right? So most likely you would see that the context cohort will book 2x 3x more qualified meetings with the same number of touches, because they spoke to companies in motion, not companies in maintenance, right? And that is why you are not a marketer of people, you are an engineer of context. You don't chase titles, you read timelines. You don't send emails, you kind of orchestrate timing. And sales doesn't tolerate you, sales starts trusting you, because you predict motion, right? And that's the difference between traditional and old practitioners and the new age modern GTM. So here is what I want you to do, right? Step 1, pick 10 targets, do a priority mapping from board, letters and earnings, and tag 5 themes per account, right? And then you do a posture where you mark expand, defend, freeze, then mark greenfield, partial, fortress, or plus your path from a terrain perspective, right? Then you estimate the maturity ladder based on problem blind, awareness, solution exploring, right? Then governance, momentum and cadence. This will go a long way in improving your GTM operations. So here is a side-by-side comparison between the old world and anti-persona world, right? So you would see that persona is more about demographic, but here context is dynamics, and ICP who fits, right? So ICP is who fits, and buyer operating context is how they buy, right? You have a static deck in one hand, on the other you have a living system that's getting updated every 4 weeks, right? And then in the old world, marketing owns targeting. Here marketing plus sales, you kind of share context, right? And there's an annual update and there's a quarterly refresh, and on one hand you have guess empathy, on the other hand you have measure motion, right? So so here are the guardrails for you, right? And I want to keep this very honest, right? If a new CFO joins and your plan doesn't change, your framework is the fiction. Just let this sink in, right? This is rule number 1, that you need to keep it fresh, right? If a new CFO joins and your plan doesn't change, your framework is fiction, right? If nobody can veto you on your paper, you're missing the real map. If your copy doesn't change when the dial moves from expand to defend, you're performing, not operating. Last but not the least, if you can point to a proof that disarms the top governance gate, you are asking your champion to fight alone. So next week we will talk about how this ICP is really burning millions of dollars for IT service organization and what you can do instead. Right, funnels died because they lied about movement. Personas are dying because they pretend movement doesn't exist. Right, you have outgrown this fiction and you're building systems. This is the birth of anti-marketing in my mind, and you are one of the first few who would capitalize on this opportunity. In a world that changes every 30 days, 45 days, this movement is only the truth. Until next time, cheers.